because I don't like the idea that we usually say that একটু বানা typo হলো এখানে একটা, I'm sorry for the typo. We usually say, please save your questions for later. But then the context goes. I am a social science person, and to me, the context is very important. Therefore, if you have to say something and it is a query about a particular slide, unless you place your question at that moment, the continuity, the interaction really does not happen. As it is in this virtual session, in any virtual session, as I mentioned to my class students, that your eyes are my report card. There is no need to fill a feedback form. I know from the eyes of the participants in the class how I have delivered a lecture. And you are all teachers. I'm sure you will agree that we are the best judge to evaluate or assess our performance. And nowadays, teaching is not only teaching, it is called a performance, actually. A teacher is a performer because a teacher is not only deliberating, but is also engaging the audience. And I mentioned the word audience because in a virtual platform, the participants of a refresher course are really an audience. Like you're watching Netflix on your phone, you are watching this. So the teacher is expected to engage, and that engagement in a very simplistic manner is through my chat box. So as you can see, I have the chat box open, and I wish to engage all of you through the chat box. So my question to you, my first question to you, before I go on with certain things that I have gathered from my existing knowledge and from books, is I want to talk to you about time. And time is something which is really intangible because time cannot be bought or sold. Time that belongs to me, I cannot lend to you, but I can share with you. I can share the resources that I have with time, that I can make use with time with you. So I have loosely called it intangible value of time. So my next slide will expect you to do an exercise. And since we're talking about time, I would expect you to switch on your videos. And the trick in this game is I don't want you to look at the phone, the mobile clock, and I want to switch off you to switch off your videos when you think 1 minute is over. So I begin now. I stop presenting and I ask you to switch on your videos. And when you think 1 minute is over, switch it off. The game is you switch on your videos, and when you think 1 minute is over, switch it off. I think no one was prepared, so no one is dressed. So no one is switching on the video. I have only one person in the whole class who has
No,
switched
ma'am.
on her video, and that's Amreen.
Many of us, we have switched on the
Many
video
of
now.
us have switched off, ma'am. Switched on, ma'am.
Oh, but then I cannot see. For some reason, I cannot see.
My video is on. Amreen.
Oh, I can only see Amreen.
No, ma'am. I'm also.
Mohua.
Somdatta.
Shomdatta Mohua.
Ma'am, mine was also on Indita.
Anindita.
You can pin and see, ma'am. We are on.
Ma'am, I'm just about to switch off my video because for me 1 minute is over.
Yes, ma'am. 1 minute is over.
For me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Me too. Yes. Yes.
So I will, since there was this technical issue and I could not see your videos, I will tell you of an incident. Most of you are from India and Bengal, and you know that when we do a memorial, we say, we will stand up for a minute's silence. And the person conducting the meeting looks at his watch, and after 1 minute, he says, Boshun, you may be seated. Because we are not able to comprehend how much is 1 minute. And that brings me to the idea that it is the concept of time is more on perception. So when we talk about time, for each of us, without looking at the watch, without looking at a clock, it is a perception. Sometimes 1 minute may be so long, and sometimes 1 minute may be just so little. Besides giving you the example of a Sharon Shobha or a memorial, I will also give you the example of when we're talking on the phone. Sometimes the conversation is so attractive that it doesn't feel that we have spoken for 20 minutes. And sometimes even a brief conversation is so painful that we look at, after the phone is over, we look at how much time we spent. So, how long is 1 minute? Is a cliche which brings us to this discussion on that time is a matter of perception. And having this knowledge about one's own perception will lead us to better making use of time. So, I present before you this idea that time is an intangible asset because it is a non-physical item that will help me get money or happiness or watch a movie and get some pleasure or talk to someone and get some benefit or work on an embroidery to produce something or go and teach in class and get your salary. So to me, time is an investment in creation of my intangible assets. That is, time is something that has added value to my knowledge or to my skill. Or time is something which has made a change in my behavior. Time does not have any physical image. As we say that God does not have a physical image. So time is non-material. It is an asset that each of us have, and we have a limited asset, limitation of this asset. It brings benefits if I use it well. It gives me advantages. It gives me rights, but it enables me to get income also. At the same time, it is very difficult to find the value of time in money terms. But it is not a physical thing. Therefore, I call it an intangible asset. Now, when we're talking about intangible management, we talk about managing time in a manner that the right time is allotted to the right activity. Like just now, the best activity would have been to go to sleep. But we are making good use of time by suggesting that we talk of different things on different days. So, what needs to be done really is attending a session and the making the best use of the time now, because this is a virtual session and it is assigning slots to people whom you would have otherwise not been able to meet or otherwise not be able to hear from. Therefore, time is as important in personal as well as work life or professional life. So, since I have started talking and I have not really got an opportunity to hear you, we will play another activity, which is we'll not waste more time in that because each of you will have to respond in the chat box. Describe yourself in one word. Describe yourself in one word. I begin with myself. I begin with my answer. So 48 participants. Positive person. Very good. Anindita. That was good. Amreen, introvert. That is, Amreen, you didn't seem to be an introvert. Workaholic, Anisha. Nah, I like that. Shomdata, you have a brilliant profile picture. I saw that. Emotional, dynamic, open, confident. Nivedita, I like that. Mohua, Shubhasri Datta Dasgupta, punctual. I'm sure your college students are scared of you. Indranil, you and I shared the same. Dedicated. Some of us are hardworking. Yes, I find some hardworking people. So this was just a way to make sure that all of you are in the same plane as we all are. So as we go ahead, I want to talk to you about this intangibility management. Time is intangible, and how we make best use of time are I have discussed in a few steps. The first thing that I suggest, that literature suggests, that you have to plan to make use of this intangible asset. And in order to plan to make use of this asset, the first thing we need to know is listing of activities. It may be listing of your day-to-day activities, it may be listing of your work activities, it may be listing of your activities for the month, or when we go to a grocery store. So the whole thing that we do in our work lives and personal lives, the best way to manage time is to make a list and the pleasure of ticking off the list that is done. As we say that it's gives you more pleasure to tick off the activity than you get from doing the activity. So after completing every activity, you get some kind of pleasure. But it is said that you get more pleasure when you actually tick off the list because the list goes smaller. And of course, next day the list goes bigger and longer, but the list goes smaller. And this planning of the tasks that you will do, the distribution of the time that you have, if you can plan it, if you can use it, and then if you can tick off to make a new list, or if you can tick off to make a shorter list, that is what makes you punctual and disciplined. Because being punctual is an art, and being disciplined is a science. Because when you are punctual, when you are talking to people about punctuality, being punctual cannot be effective unless it is two-sided. Because we are talking of making use of my time. If I'm punctual in class and my students are not punctual, then we are not really making use of my time. We are not making effective use of my time because I am in class and my students have not reached. And this is a waste of time from my part. Therefore, being punctual and making use of time together also asked for being disciplined. Because unless the organization is disciplined, unless the interaction is disciplined, then the best use of time cannot be made. This takes me to something I had heard when I was quite young, that if you're on time, you're late. Because if you're exactly on time, then you begin your work a little later. Therefore, you have to report or you have to reach before time so that you can begin your work on time. If we have class at 10:30 in the morning and I reach Biharilal Gate at 10:30 in the morning, then of course you cannot start taking class at 10:30. Many of you are not from Biharilal campus. So just to mention to you, they have a beautiful campus. কি আমি ভুল বললাম?
অপূর্ব 4.2 acres আর পুরো lush green
পুবালিদি
I think someone's on the phone somewhere else.
পুবালিদি সুস্মিতা দাসকে একটু মিউট করো।
She's on the phone with someone else.
হ্যাঁ,
But we must ask her where she went 4.2 acres in lush green. Because that
4.2
must be a
একর্স,
good place.
না 4.2 একর্স ওটা পুবালিদি বলছিল আর কি, ও দেখেনি যে সুস্মিতা দাস কথা বলছে আর কি। ও আমাদের ক্যাম্পাসের ডেসক্রিপশন দিতে শুরু করেছিল।
Oh, I see, I see. Yes, and lush green, and when you walk from the main gate to the campus, it feels like you are on a vacation because you're walking on a path with greenery on two sides. It is really a pleasure. So, again, going back to where we were, uh, it is if you're on time, you cannot begin your work at the same time. So if you're on time, you're late. And punctuality and being disciplined is actually what brings people together, because you cannot start off your work all by yourself. That takes me to the next part is when I am working on a particular activity, professional, personal, I have to set some goals for myself. And especially when I'm managing time, I have to set goals for myself. Therefore, this is a typical acronym which says your goals have to be SMART. But what does it mean to have SMART goals? Meaning your goals have to be specific. Your goals have to be pinpointed. They have to be measurable, meaning you can be able to say how much you have achieved or how much you have not achieved. They could be attainable. If I said that I would do a 6-hour virtual class, that would not be attainable. If I have a measurable goal, that is, I want to satisfy my participants of the refresher course, then where is the scale? There is no scale. We, therefore, whenever we set goals for ourselves, it is important that they are specific, they are pinpointed, they are measurable, they are attainable. Like, I do not make goals which are not aligned with reality. They are relevant. They must be something to do with the context, as I mentioned. It has to be relevant to the context that we are talking about. And finally, it has to be based on time. Therefore, when I'm talking about time management, it is essential that we plan our activities and we plan our goals which are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time based. Therefore, when we talk about time, and that takes us to setting a deadline. This cartoon is something I really liked. They talk about this is a corporate meeting, and the first part of the meeting talks about marketing. They have done it. The second part of the meeting talks about profit. They have done it. But the third part of the meeting talks about effective time management. But they have not been able to do it because they spoke so much about marketing and profits that they were not being able to talk about effective time management. On the other hand, we must say that because they did not know time management, they continued session 1 and 2 to the manner that they could not finish, they could not accommodate session 3. When setting deadlines are concerned, I want to discuss with you the concepts of standard time, expected time, actual time, preferred time, and contingency time. If you have any comments or any questions as we discuss this, please feel free to put it in the chat box. When we talk about standard time is usually how much time does a person take in finishing a cup of tea? That is standard time. Standard time, so just a simple example, how much time does usually a person take in finishing a cup of tea? Then expected time. It varies from individual to individual. That is, how much time do I take? What is the expectation that I will finish a cup of tea? In what time? So if the standard time is 10 minutes, I'm planning my day and I keep a standard time of 15 minutes for a person to finish the cup of tea. That is usually, on an average, people finish a cup of tea in 15 minutes. Suppose. Expected time relates to person and it varies from person to person. So some people drink their tea very hot and they are done in 5 minutes. Some people drink their tea at leisure and they finish in 10 minutes. Expected time is a noting of the time that variation occurs from the standard time due to individual differences. Actual time. Now, every day, I don't finish drinking that cup of tea in the same time. One day I may take 10 minutes, the other day I may take 12.5 minutes. So, what is the actual time? What is my preferred time? Now, my preferred time to drink a cup of tea is 30 minutes because I like to drink very slowly and I like to read the newspaper with it. And my preferred time is 30 minutes. So, we are planning my day and we are thinking what time I should wake up so that I can get ready and go out. So I'm back calculating. I have to go out at 8 o'clock. So what time should I wake up? Standard time people take in drinking tea. Expected time is how much do I take usually. Actual time is how much did I take that day. Preferred time is how much do I want to take. And contingency time is I spilled tea on my new bed sheet. So that is something that you have to always consider. So when we are back calculating as to we want to go out at 9 o'clock, so how much time should I keep for getting ready, for doing my housework, getting ready for work, etc., etc. So when I'm setting deadlines for any activity, my tea drinking was an example. So we need to consider all these factors. In the context of contingency time, I wish to give you another example. Any questions? Any questions? If you have a comment, you can put on the chat box, but then I will give you an example of a contingency time. Contingency time becomes very important when we are filling up some forms and submitting. We all know that there is a tendency among Indians to submit the form on the last date. And the contingency time is not taken care of. And very often we create a lot of urgency in us. I will go into the issue of urgency later. There's a lot of urgency in us when we have gone till the last day and there is no internet, or there is a sudden band, or there is rain, unexpected heavy rain, and I could not go to the courier, or the cable burst, the internet in my locality burst. So this is why contingency time becomes very important when setting deadlines. And whenever I talk of time management, the example that I often give everyone is make this a learning experience where we will provide for contingency times and we will submit all forms at least 24 hours before the deadline. So this is something that I wanted to share with you because I tell myself, what if riot ho jaye? Mane something that is vaguest in the vaguest of situations. I want to fill up the form a day before. I want to submit a day before because jodi sedin riot ho jaye. So that is what I tell myself. And I think this is one of our most important factors that when we are looking at deadlines, there are different aspects of time we may take into consideration. When we're talking about time management and when we have discussed that time is an intangible asset, which when well used gives us benefits, we cannot increase the total time we have. But what we can do is we can make use of more time. I repeat, we cannot increase the total time we have to do a work, but we can get other people's time to do the work. And it is important that in order to make best use of time, we share with people and we delegate to people who have specialization, capability, and interest. This is one of the things that we often talk in management in terms of time, in terms of resources. Time is also a resource. Therefore, we mention that the total time that I have in life is limited. But there may be others in my immediate community or neighborhood who have time and who are willing to share. But with whom will I share? With whom will I, to whom will I delegate? Only to people who have the specialization to meet the needs that I have. The capability, the capability to chip in, as we say, to contribute to the work that I'm doing, and of course, the interest and the desire to contribute. When we talk about sharing and delegating, it is important to convey the objectives to the people with whom we are sharing. It is important that we tell them in advance that this is the timeline within which I want this help from you. And this way, it will be a matter of appreciating the value of their time. So when I communicate to them that this is a manner in which I acknowledge what you have done, you appreciate the value of your time. So it actually increases the total time I have because I have delegated to other people who have contributed their work and my job has been done with greater time. Any questions? The uh, next part of time management is to understand that we need to prioritize. Now, after this, we will talk a lot about urgent tasks and important tasks. I will share with you some philosophy that talks about what is urgent and what is important. And when we talk about prioritizing tasks, when we talk about prioritizing the activities that we have to do, I bring to your notice that there is an important role of some time for me too. As we say that how much time have I kept for myself during the day? It may not be an urgent thing to keep time for myself, but it is an important thing to keep time for myself. So when we prioritize tasks, we make a list of things, we make a list of things that needs to be done just now. And the example that I share with you that even in the restroom, they have provided computers. So that is absolutely not done. That is a way of showing that you have not paid attention to what was important at the time when you were supposed to do it. Therefore, I again will open the question to the audience. We all prioritize our tasks. And when you are sitting here for 2 hours, I'm sure you have some task that is in your priority immediately after this class is over. So, in your priority list, what is the task that you have kept in your list to be done immediately after this session? In your list of things that I'm sure each of you have a dozen lists, dozen things that you have to do today. But what is the first thing that you will do or that you plan to do in the immediately as soon as the class gets over? I'm beginning with mine. I'm beginning with mine. Calling back unattended calls. Very good. Going to market to purchase essentials. Excellent. I will use your examples to explain urgent and important. Oh my God, college administration work. Prepare coffee. Momo, you're asleep. Go and get coffee. Because I got my cups of tea and coffee. Because after lunch, 2 hours, I will fall asleep. And you have the advantage because you cannot, I cannot see you. If you fall asleep, I will not really get to know. Be with my daughter, some us time with her. Very good, John Datta. Listen to songs. Srija, you are lucky. Prepare son for his coming exam. So I will now ask you, how many of you are doing an urgent work after the class or an important work after class? Urgent work is something that needs to be done immediately. The college administration work, buying essentials. Important work is listening to songs. It is very important. Be with my daughter. Prepare son for the coming exams. So, are you doing urgent work or are you doing important work? So, that is my next exercise that I will share with you. When we are planning all this, we need some tools and equipments. We need some alarm clocks and timers. We need planners and appointment diaries. And this is the third bullet is something I practice and I request all of you to think about it. Please put up a number of calendars and wall clocks all over the house because that is a reminder time has passed. That is a reminder what time it is today, just now. That is a reminder of what day it is today. Oh, tomorrow's Sunday. What fun. Therefore, these are the things that I think are most important tools and equipment in managing the intangible asset of time. Because drinking coffee and tea is also very important. Standing in the window, standing in the balcony is an important activity because that adds value to life. I have a question for the audience. Do you want to add something to this list? Because that will make my next session better. Anything, tools and equipments in time management? I will take a break for 2 minutes because there's a call from College Street and I have to attend to this. I will continue, and I will take the break when these people get back to me, because the registrar of university has asked me to send some papers, so I have to do it. And it's already 3 o'clock, so I have to do it first. So as I continue with tools and equipments about managing time, I go over to our next idea as to the ethics of time management. Because who has 1 minute? অর্কদীপ্তা, রেজিস্ট্রার লিখেছেন যে আজকেই পাঠান সই করে দেব। তুমি কি পারবে ট্যাক্সি করে যেতে এখন? হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, অফকোর্স তো রেডি হয়ে বেরোবে, তাহলে আজকে হয়ে যাবে। হ্যাঁ, থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ। হ্যাঁ, আর যদি বাইরের থেকে ঘুরিয়ে দেয়, বলো যে রেজিস্ট্রার স্যার শর্মিষ্ঠা ম্যাডামকে এসএমএস করেছেন। হ্যাঁ, রেজিস্ট্রার স্যার নিজে হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ করেছেন যে প্লিজ সেন্ড টুডে। ওকে, সেগুলো হবে, সেগুলো ডোন্ট ওয়ারি ফর দ্যাট। তুমি আগে সইটা করিয়ে আনো। থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ। I am so sorry. So I will tell you who has ownership of my time. First person who has ownership of my time is myself. The second body, I should say, my immediate community is my family. They have ownership of my time. But who pays me for my time? My employer pays me for my time. So there are some ethics of time management that I wish to share with you today. I want to talk to you about the ethics of time management when I specifically mention that the employer is not only a source of money. So the employer does not only give me salary, but gives me social position, gives me satisfaction, and provides me a vehicle to give back to society what I have got from society. So the time that I am giving to my employer is what I should give back to society. Therefore, what I want to mention to you that the work hours, the office hours are not my Facebook hours. And it is up to me to make sure that I use leave judiciously and I avoid time wasters in the office. By office, I mean our kind of educational institutions. We waste a lot of time in the office. I agree that when we teach, we don't have to teach chock a block, because we have to also think what we are talking about. Because if you think of this presentation, I've got everything from the internet. But I have used my thought to put the different ideas together. So that is what teachers are supposed to be. Everything is there in the book. But why does a student need to attend class? Because the teacher translates what is in the book in a manner that is perceived by the student. So that takes me to the next idea. That is, there are some to-dos, home and workplace to-dos and not to-dos. I did not write the not to-dos, because when I write to-dos, then automatically the not to-dos come over. But who am I to tell you what not to do? But I can definitely suggest some to-dos. This is more to do with the Japanese principle of time management that I will talk to you a little later. But I just want to explain to you that these are things that we normally do. But it is a reminder for us that the best way to use time is to make sure that there's certain things I need every time I go out. I need a mask, I need keys, I need my phone, I need my diary. So let them be in a bag near the door. It's so easy. Otherwise, while we are going out, we are picking up the things, and last moment we have the tendency of leaving something. So when we are making a list, make sure we make the list on a binder or a diary. we find that the extra things that are accumulated in our workplace, in our homes, has accumulated because we have not thrown the ones that we have not used for quite a while. I have another very silly question. When did you last, I will write this down and not say it. When did you last discard or throw away a dot pen that was not writing? Each of us in our houses, I will give you my answer. I don't remember because I have not done it recently. When they don't write, we put it back in the same place. It's in my office that I throw away, and that too, my scholars throw them away. Madam, এই পেনটা লিখছে না, ফেলে দাও. Did I ever do that? Was good. Which means imagine the trash we have collected in our houses, in our bags, in our offices. I have a question for Shubhasri. You don't throw away the pen. Do you get them refilled?
Yes, ma'am.
Aisha,
I prefer
the
to.
registrar has 1 minute. Aisha, the registrar wants to sign today, so I told Orkodipta, talk to her. So, my question to you is that if you refill your pens, yes, accumulated. Someone was saying something.
Yes, ma'am. As you asked me, yes, I prefer to refill it instead of throwing it out.
Good. Very environment friendly. So we
No, ma'am.
collect
I feel comfortable with write with a single pen as long as it is usable.
So I appreciate the ones who refill it. And there are some people who still use fountain pens. এই অপর্ণা, তুমি ইকোনমিক্স না? ও মিউট রেখে কথা বলে যাচ্ছে. Okay, so here we are talking about some of our ways to make life simple and remember. That takes me to the Japanese philosophy. We have done a lot of fun stuff. Now I will talk to you about something serious. The Japanese philosophy of organizing spaces so that we are efficiently doing our work, effectively doing our work, and we're keeping ourselves, excuse me, we're keeping ourselves safe. This system focuses on putting everything where it belongs, keeping things clean, and so that our job becomes easy and our job is not wasting time and not creating any kind of injury to us. The 5 S's of the Japanese philosophy are Seiri, Seitan, Seifso, Setukesi, Shitsuke, which talks about sort, straighten, shine, standardize, and sustain. Sort, set in order, shine, standardize, sustain. Now, this is specifically about physical things. I'll tell you the example that I give in my class. I ask them, how many pair of jeans do you have? All of them say 4, 5, 6, 10. And how many pair of jeans can you wear at a time? So everyone says 1. So you know how many extras you have? So have you sorted them? Have you put the blue jeans together and the black jeans together? Have they been washed any time in the near past? Are they standardized or are they of different varieties? And how often do you repeat them? So that's how I make them remember the 5S. When we talk about seriously the 5S and the philosophy of making good use of time so that we are able to make best use of the resources they have. We are able to give quality in our production and in our output so that we are satisfied and we satisfy our employer. Finally, we reduce costs and we bring about a safe work environment. This example is used for paperwork also. Do we put our paperwork in order? Do we file them? Do we throw away things that we don't need and clean them? Do we standardize the size of the paper, or do we have a question paper which is tiny, another question paper which is A4 size, and some do you know the commerce question papers come in A3 size? So something as simple as a question paper. Does the university make it a standard size so that they are filed in proper order? And how many of those files do we label so that when I am not there, someone else can easily find it? We find this a serious problem, specifically in our administrative offices. We often hear, যে ভদ্রলোক এটা ডিল করছিলেন তিনি আজকে আসেননি, সো নো ওয়ার্ক ডান, তিনি আজকে আসেননি। যিনি এই কাজটা করতেন তিনি রিটায়ার করে গেছেন, এখন ওই কাগজগুলো আমাদের দেখতে হবে, because the files were not standardized and because it was not meant to be sustained in the absence of me. So I think Japanese 5S system is something that we very much need to learn, we very much need to apply in our administrative offices so that the benefit is enjoyed by the administration and by all stakeholders of the community. That takes me to the final benefits of time management, because when I am able to use my time, I am improving my productivity. That gives me an ability to stand apart in a crowd. It gives me satisfaction and improves my morale. And if I do it well, I can continue with my success because this has reduced my stress and anxiety. And finally, which is very important, it enables me to say no. When I'm able to plan my time, if I have a list of things that I want to do, if I know which is important and which is urgent, that will enable me to say no. And I think the next exercise that we'll do, we will be able to do our own, yours and mine, to carry on with time management planning. I brought in this issue is because the total earnings we have and the total costs we have are known to us. But the notional costs are not known and they are never deducted from our earnings. But what is also not known is when we are talking about earnings per hour, we are dividing them by the hours that we work in our institutions. We are not calculating the travel time. We are not calculating the time that we work for conducting the class in thinking about the class at home. So I would suggest that the earnings per hour are the net earnings divided by the hours that I am awake. Because even if I dress up and I go to class to present, then that dressing up also has contributed to my students enjoying the class. So everything that I do while I am awake is in some way or the other contributing to the output of the class. So the key is not in spending the time, but in investing in it. Very often it was believed, like I will not say very often, it was in earlier times it was believed that teachers have to have a simple life. Teachers are in need to have what was said that there is a saying, simple living and high thinking. But today we are in a position where we are able to combine both. We are able to combine good living and high thinking. So why is the teacher a profession who is earmarked as one who has to wear few clothes, not dress up? Because When I'll give you this example, there are men in the class I know, but then I'll give you this example. When I joined university more than 20 plus years back, women didn't dress up. Firstly, there were less women. Secondly, women didn't dress up more. And I am the one who I put makeup and I dress up and I match my stuff and I go to work. And many people have mentioned, "Kon madam, jini lipstick poren." See, 25 years back, wearing lipstick was also not an accepted behavior. "Kon madam, jini lipstick poren." So it is, I invest in getting ready for my class. And that includes getting dressed, includes preparing my PowerPoint, includes reading an extra book, includes learning how to deliberate and not procrastinate. Therefore, I wish to share with you that there are costs which go unrecognized and there are hours that go unrecognized when the official working hours are concerned. Here I will again draw to your attention, because we have spoken of urgent and important, and just now we'll do an exercise where urgent work and important work have to be separated. Urgent work is something where there is a deadline or the deadline has passed. So there's something urgent that I have to do, which may not be time consuming, which not require much of an effort, but it is silly, but it has to be done now. Does not have a significant effect on my life, but it has to be done now. Why has this become urgent? This may have become urgent because I kept postponing it. So this may be replying to an email, sending a receipt. It may be something that has has been lying in my mailbox for long. Important tasks are not something that have a deadline. It is important because it has an influence on my life. It has an impact on my life. It is the same as urgent, meaning it may not be time consuming or it may not require a big effort. It may not require you to do it immediately. I want to listen to a song. I want to watch that movie. But it's important for me. But it's not necessary that I do it now. So I want to draw your attention to the difference between urgent work and important work. One of the examples that I share everywhere is an important work is something that you need to execute. You do not need to do right now, but nevertheless, if you don't do it, you become directionless. Now, this is backed by a philosophy, which is called the Eisenhower principle. Eisenhower was a US president who used this idea from a professor called Roscoe Miller, that there are two kinds of problems, the urgent and the important. The urgent ones are not important, but the important ones are never urgent. So this is what I want to bring to your notice, because the next slide we will ask you to do an exercise. The important activities have come about to be important because they will enable achieving our goals, both professional or personal. I want to read a book. That's important. The urgent activities require my attention, but it is related to someone else's goal. That is, when I have to submit a report, someone else wants that report on that date. That date has been given by someone else. So it has become urgent. When we know that which activity is important, which activity is urgent, we can enable our natural tendency to focus on unimportant urgent activities. So this is one of the most important, the second bullet from the bottom. Otherwise, all our life, we are doing firefighting. We are doing urgent activities. and we are not doing important activities. So this is what Eisenhower principle is. We often say that we really don't know where my time goes. So I will expect you to do this exercise, and this exercise you have the choice of sharing with me, or you have the choice of keeping to yourself. You have again two choices. This exercise is, where does my time go? You have to write two things. You have to write activity that you did from, it could be yesterday or it could be an usual day. Where does my time go? We are recording either yesterday's activities or any usual day's activities. And in the priority column, you will write whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. This we will do with the next block. This we will do with the next screen. So I give you 5-7 minutes time, maximum 10, to fill this. I repeat, fill the columns on slide 18 following codes. This may talk about yesterday or any usual day in your life. 3:34. So I will expect to hear from you in 5 minutes. And as and when, if you can't see, because you're doing it on your sheets of paper. So 9 to 10, what do? I get ready, I dress up. So it's not urgent, but important for me. Get ready and dressing up. That is number 2. So you will please fill this in your own sheets, and then I will tell you how we move to the next box. Each one will have a different sheet. Do you have a question? No one has a question? হাবিবুল্লাহ, you write on your own sheet. আপনি নিজের কাগজে লিখুন, এখানে লিখতে হবে না। এই গতকাল আপনি 9টা থেকে 10টা কি করেছেন, 10টা থেকে 11টা কি করেছেন, এটা আপনি নিজের কাগজে লিখুন, চ্যাট বক্সে লিখতে হবে না। If any of you have any questions, then you may please ask orally or in the chat box. আচ্ছা, এটা সরিয়ে দিতে হবে না? We have completed 7 minutes, and we have completed 7 minutes, and I have completed my worksheet. So Do you need more time? If anyone else needs more time, Shubhasri, I will answer your question. I saw your question. Aparna, we don't want it here. Aparna, এখানে লেখার দরকার নেই, তুমি নিজের কাগজে লেখো. Does anyone want more time, or shall we go to the next slide? If you want more time, please write. Otherwise, I go to the next slide. Now, the summary. You can please make the summary yourself also. How many ones do I have? 1, 2, 3. 1, I have 3. 2, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, I have 1, 2, 3. 4, I have 0. So I have 3 ones, 5 twos, and 3 threes. So have you been able to make this chart for yourself? So if you have been able to make this chart for yourself, if you don't want me to wait any longer, I will ask you to go with me to the next slide. Shall we go to the next slide? একটা দুটো উত্তর পেলে ভালো লাগবে.
Yes, madam.
So Anjali, Shomdatta, Mahua, you have been able to do this, right? And you have the summary ready. So how many ones do I have? I have 3 ones. I have 3 ones. I have 5 twos. I have 3 threes. And I have 0, 4. So I'm doing an analysis of this person, Sharmistha Banerjee. She is most inclined to do things which are important in her life and not urgent. So if you think of me, I love myself the most. And I take care of things that will impact my life, not other people's lives. Out of the 3 plus 3, 6 plus 5, 11 things that I do, 5, that is 50% of my time, I spend in doing things which are important. Yes, of course, I do things that are not important but urgent because I have a job. And I also do things which are urgent because they have to be done just now. So if I can ask anyone to share their box, anyone. So if you were to assess me, I do most 50% of my work I do because I want to do it. Almost 30% of the work I do because it is required in the job. And 30% of the work I do because I have kept some work incomplete earlier. I have to do it today. Sometimes university sends those blessed papers. They send in the morning and they say 3টার মধ্যে দিতে হবে, 5টার মধ্যে দিতে হবে. So they're urgent, but they're not important. If they were important, they would have come in time. So is there anyone who would like to share their box with me? Then I will do the box for someone else. So কেউ না বললে তো আমাকে ক্লাসের মতন ডাকতে হবে. দেবাঞ্জনা সেন চলে গেছে. নিবেদিতা ভট্টাচার্য.
Yes, ma'am. How do I share my box? I mean, I have done it on a piece of paper.
You just tell
Okay.
me. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Nivedita. Just tell me. Thank
I
you
will
so
tell you
much
how many
for being a
ones and how
sport.
many twos. I will tell
Yes,
you
you will
how many
tell me
ones.
how many ones and how.
But do you want to know the activities
No,
as
it
well?
is Nivedita. No, no, no. It's
Nivedita.
just it will
Ma'am,
be.
I have most of them are ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones.
7 ones.
And I do not have threes, but
You do not have threes.
I have 3 twos
3 twos.
and 1
And this
2.
is 1. Yes,
And
because we
2,
have 11 activities.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
We
10,
have 11
11.
activities.
How did I get 12 then? I must have repeated one.
So let us look at
13.
Nivedita's life. She is always doing things which are so urgent. So she's always under pressure. She is doing very little, only 30% of the things she's doing for herself. That will impact her life. And she's doing some activities which are real chill, cool. I'm not that cool person. I can't enjoy work. Just doing nothing, not urgent, not important. She does it. But I have deprived myself of this pleasure of 4. But look at her situation. She does 7 out of 11 activities under pressure. Work pressure, family pressure, parents pressure, husband pressure, boyfriend pressure, children pressure. Nivedita, I used husband, boyfriend because I didn't know your status.
Yeah, I am. No, ma'am, very old. I'm going to be a mother-in-law soon, so it's all right. So you can
Old,
imagine why I
you
have
took,
7 ones.
oh yes. And you are talking about old. I'm teaching at university for 30 years. Okay, we have another example. Thank you so much, Nivedita.
Thank you, ma'am. My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Can we have another example? Anyone who will volunteer. I'm sure we'll have volunteers. Otherwise, I'll have to call up. আচ্ছা যখন volunteer নেই মৌসুমী সিনহা মৌসুমী চলে গেছে সবাই অন করে চলে যায় আমরা জানি ওকে মৌসুমী সিনহা যদি না
ম্যাম বলবো
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ যে কেউ বলুন ভলেন্টিয়ার চাইছি তো আমি আবার একটু পার্শিয়াল টুয়ার্ডস উইমেন তো তাই জন্য আমি একটু মহিলা মহিলা ডাকছিলাম প্লিজ
ম্যাম বলছি
কে বলবেন প্লিজ টেল মি ইওর নেম
আই এম ডক্টর ত্রিপাঠী বহরমপুর গার্লস
ডক্টর
কলেজ থেকে
ত্রিপাঠী
হ্যাঁ ম্যাম বলছি অ্যাকচুয়ালি আপনি কালকের দিনটা বললেন তো কালকে যেহেতু আমাদের কোর্স ওয়ার্ক চলছিল ফলে বেসিক্যালি কালকের দিনটা সবার ক্ষেত্রেই সমান হবে মানে
এই আমি কিন্তু পুরো কাল বলিনি না 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 আমার প্রশ্নটা শোনেনি লোকজন আমি লিখেছি this may talk about yesterday or any usual day in your life
ওটা হলেই চেঞ্জ হয়ে যাবে বেসিক্যালি
হ্যাঁ চেঞ্জ হয়ে যাক
আমরা কালকের দিনটা হিসেব করছি তো যার জন্য 1 আর 2 এর মধ্যেই থেকে
Okay.
গেছে যেহেতু কালকে আমরা ম্যাক্সিমাম টাইমটাই আমরা এই কোর্স ওয়ার্কের মধ্যে ছিলাম ফলে এটা তো স্বাভাবিকভাবেই আমাদের আর্জেন্ট ইম্পর্টেন্ট
এইখানে আমরা উত্তর পেয়েছি অনেকগুলো আমরিন বলেছে he has 5-1 আমরিন আচ্ছা ডক্টর ত্রিপাঠী বলুন
হ্যাঁ ম্যাম ঠিক আছে এবারে তাহলে মানে রেজাল্ট গুলো আমার অন্যরকম হবে আপনি যেটা
আচ্ছা যে কোনো দিন নরমাল
Yes.
আমরিন এটা করি আমরিন বলেছে
Yes, ma'am.
5-1 3-2 3-1 and 4-2 that's smart she does not urgent not important work a lot also that means urgent and important 5 not urgent important 3 I seem to be doing maximum of not urgent yet important work see how selfish I am and Anjali also does not urgent but important work she has 6 twos urgent not important so this is what I was trying to explain to you that this is one way of looking at life. But what do we do after this? We look at this. urgent and important, they are things that we have to do now. Urgent and important. Number one, we have to go to work in the morning. We have to make sure that the first things first. And when coming back from work, I have to take some things for work at home, then leave the table, switch off the computer. When you reach home, you have to clear up COVID days. You have to clean up extra, wash everything possible. So urgent and important things are do it now. Then in our box, we find which are not urgent and important, which are urgent, not important. So what do we do with them? We have to plan it. We have to delegate it. And we have to I use the PowerPoint as my blackboard. So when we have divided our day in this way, you can do it these exercises at home to think of what we will do today and what we will do tomorrow. That takes me to the next slide, which talks about strategies. So tell me activities that deserve more time and
Ma'am,
activities
can I
that
ask
deserve.
a question?
Yes, please, please. I will be happy because I'm
Uh,
not hearing any voices. Anjali, yes.
Actually, I have some difficulties sorting out the prioritize between urgent, important, and only important things. Like you have said that cleaning up after coming home during these COVID days. So I am giving an example that if I go to wash the things, like outside clothes or all, sometimes I wash it right away. Sometimes I think, okay, let it be in the bucket for sometimes I will wash it later on. So that's why when I become confused between what I need to do right now and what is it is what is important, but I can do it later on.
So may I mention that everything has an opportunity cost. When we come back home from outside and because of COVID, we are washing all our stuff. Maybe I'm not washing all my clothes just now, I'm putting it in a bucket. But in that time, by not washing, I'm washing the mask, I'm washing my hands, feet, cleaning my face, but I'm not washing all my clothes. I'm putting it in a separate bucket to be washed at a later time. What am I doing in that time? There is an opportunity cost of not washing. I must be going indoors to my room and attending to family. And that is an important thing in our lives. Cleaning post COVID is, or because of COVID, is urgent. But certain things are important also. So, what is the cost of the opportunity lost? If I was washing my sari, I would have spent half an hour, 45 minutes doing it and not talking to family members, which I could do in 45 minutes' time. So this is where we have to choose between which is urgent and which is important, and ask ourselves what is the opportunity cost of leaving these clothes in the bucket. If I had washed them now, I would not have spoken to family.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. I understand now.
Can we have any other questions, or is there any discussion that you would like to make?
ম্যাম তাহলে নট আর্জেন্ট নট ইম্পর্টেন্ট কোনটা কোন ধরনের কাজ অ্যাক্টিভিটিস?
Not urgent, not important কে আমরা বলি drop it. সেটা হচ্ছে আমরা অনেক সময় ফোনে অনেক অবান্তর গল্প করি, which does not add value to our soul.
Yes, মানে
It is
হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ
not urgent, not important. ফোনে হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ whatever.
সবকিছু বুঝতে পেরেছি।
একটা লিমিট অবধি আমাদের সোশ্যালাইজেশন দরকার,
বুঝতে পেরেছি।
আমাদের এক অপরের সাথে কথা বলা দরকার,
হুম হুম।
কিন্তু একটা লিমিটের পরে আমরা কিন্তু অনেকটা সময় নষ্ট করি এটার পেছনে।
ঠিক ঠিক। ওকে ম্যাম, থ্যাংক ইউ।
So once you have these results, this is all very personal because it does not become a formula. It cannot become a formula. So there are activities that deserve more time, there are activities that deserve less time, and there are activities that we can plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow this is a very funny definition, is a mystical land where 99% of all productivity, motivation, and achievement is stored. So I will do it tomorrow. I'm motivated to do it tomorrow. I will do it better tomorrow. I will work on it tomorrow. So this is a very funny definition. So I wanted to share this with you, that all our motivation is stored for tomorrow. Any questions so far? As we proceed, therefore, I go over to, we've done this exercise and we've done quite a lot of chat box interactions. We go over to time management myths. Because when we do activity number 1, which is urgent and not important, as we do more and more of those activities, we want to do more activities in less time. So we focus on being efficient. We focus on doing more work with less input of time. Then the challenge is that maybe you're not doing things right. Then you are not maximizing your impact. If we try to teach a lot of syllabus in one class, then maybe we are finishing our syllabus, but we are not doing the right things and we are not maximizing the impact. This is a very funny example that I'm sharing with you. If you're keeping your inbox empty, that is returning all messages within minutes of receipt, you're being very efficient at responding to other people's queries. But what about your agenda? What about the work that you want to do yourself? How effective are you being in meeting your work plans? If someone has sent an email and you reply immediately, you're satisfying their need. But did you have the time? Or did you take out from your time to satisfy their needs? So I'm sure we are all from Bengal and we have heard this from our administrators. আমার টেবিলে কোনো ফাইল পড়ে থাকে না. Many administrators say this. Someone wants the link. Mr. Dr. Gautam Das wants the link. Purva or someone, will you please share?
I will
Yes,
share
sir.
it. I will share it. I remember. I will share it. Please do the class. Don't worry about the attendance link.
Okay, so I want to bring this to your notice. I'm sure many of you have heard this. Administrators, আমার কোনো ফাইল পড়ে থাকে না. What do you mean আমার কোনো ফাইল পড়ে থাকে না? তার মানে আপনি কোনো কিছু চিন্তা ভাবনা করে করেন না, option 1. Option 2, আপনি সবসময় কোনো না কোনো অফিসারকে ওটা মার্ক করে নিজের টেবিলটা খালি করে দিচ্ছেন। তার মানে আপনি আপনার কাছে যে সমস্যাটা নিয়ে কেউ একটা চিঠি বা ফাইল দিয়েছে সেটা কোনো এফেক্টিভলি সলভ করছেন না। আপনি যেটা করছেন সেটা আপনার এফিসিয়েন্সি দেখাচ্ছেন যে আমার টেবিলে কোনো ফাইল পড়ে নেই। I hope I could explain this example because this is a very common thing we face in educational administration. Our files go from one table to another and wherever you go is ওটা প্রসেসে আছে, আমার টেবিলে নেই, তবে অফিসারকে দিয়েছি সাইন করতে। Therefore, as you find that it is important for each of us to understand what is my agenda and which of my things are urgent and which of my things are important. I should not try to do more in less time because that will make me efficient, but it will lose my effectiveness. That will make me ineffective. It may appear efficient, but it will be ineffective. When we talk of assurance, when we talk of being effective, I wish to also draw to you the different types of commitments we have. Certain types of commitments are fixed commitments, that is, in association with other people. When I'm having lunch with my family, when I'm having class with according to the college timetable, when I'm going to for Anjali dite jawa, going to church to pray, my work timings in the office. But what are flexible timings? My recreation, my personal grooming, the time I want to sleep and the time I want to study. All this leads me to an understanding about my body cycle. There are some generic body cycles, which I will talk about in the next slide. In addition, there are some body cycle changes that people adapt to, which we will talk about in later slides. What are body cycles? It is known from biology that our short term memory is most active in the early mornings. Things that you have to give a quick review, just check on, is important when the to be done in the morning. And I will raise a funny thing. Don't we all read the newspaper between 6 and 10 a.m.? Then the cognitive tasks, the mental tasks, that is reading, thinking, problem solving, calculating, they are best done between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. Long-term memory, meaning which talks about more application, which talks about more real life performance, is done in the best done in the afternoon. This is what human physiology says. But I wonder whether I'm the best performer in the afternoon. I think I'm the best performer between 8 and 12. Manual dexterity, that is, when are you most capable of using your hands? That is when we want to reply to emails, when we are not doing anything, using much of our intellect between 2 and 6 p.m. Now, the physical workouts is best to engage in the evening when your muscle coordination is at its peak. So, they are asking you to go for an evening walk and not a morning walk. So, this is one of the ways in which we look at our bodies responding to our work. At a later slide, I will discuss with you how it is important to match your body cycle with your external environment. Then I have a list of time wasters, their causes and solutions. And I've done it over 2-3 slides because I have mentioned time wasters earlier, and the time wasters here are discussed with their causes and possible solutions. When we talk of time wasters, the first time waster we talk of when we have not planned. Why have I not planned? Because I did not know that it gives me some benefit. And my future and my past activity has shown that I've done away without making the plan. Some people don't plan. And since they don't plan and have got away without planning, they think that's the best way to do it. Because planning requires commitment. And the best way to solve this problem is to make people understand that planning takes time initially, but saves a lot of time in the long run. So when we talk about solutions to lack of planning, it is important to emphasize that success has come about not because you did not plan and that's a good way, but the way you did it, you succeeded. There's a typo in the last one, but basically you have to convince yourself or other people that planning is essential in order to not waste time. Why do people not plan? Some people don't plan, but why do people not plan? Because they are indecisive. If you think of why did they not plan? Because they were not sure about what they want to do. So they have a lack of confidence in the available facts. What will I do tomorrow? He or she has not made the plan because there is no analysis in their mind as what they would do tomorrow and how it would benefit their lives. And also, the other reason why people are indecisive is they are scared that the consequence of the wrong planning will be on them. So, what is the solution? The solution is you find out the facts and accept that even if you decide with or without all facts, the mistakes can happen. And mistakes are a learning process. Therefore, it is definitely not advisable to think that you can go ahead with life without planning because you suffer from indecision. That takes me to another set of time wasters. One reason of time wasting is lack of priorities. Why do people lack priorities? Because they did not have their goals and objectives predetermined. Why do you think that they did not have their goals and objectives predetermined? Because there was lack of commitment. And because there was lack of commitment, there was lack of planning. But on the other hand, we have overcommitted people. And the possible reason why they are overcommitted is they are more concerned with other people's interests than their immediate interest. How will you try to solve this problem? You can enable them to design a personal philosophy over time and relate their priorities to the to-do list. That is, people make the to-do list and put their own priorities at the last. So that is overcommitment. Another not directly related but time waster is unplanned visitors. So one of the possible causes of unplanned visitors is you do the same. That is, you go to people's houses and people's offices without letting them know in advance. And at the same time, you do not have the ability to say no. No, I have work now and I'm not going to socialize. So, how will you solve the problem? The best way to solve the problem is not be available. I know in our families it is not possible, but at the workplace it is possible. Not entertain visitors when your work is on an urgent manner, or when you have to go home now and it is important for you to go from this office out, so not attend to visitors. So this is these are the examples of time wasters. And the last one that I will talk to you about time wasters is some people are always in a haste. So why are they always in a haste? Because they are impatient and they are always doing the urgent ones and not doing the important ones. They're trying to do too much in too little time. And how do you solve it? The way you can solve it is looking at the difference between urgent and important. So that takes me to the next. I will.
ম্যাম মিউট হয়ে গেছেন।
As you know, our life revolves around phone calls these days. So nothing freeze হয়ে যায়নি, আমি ভলিউম বন্ধ করে করছি। Now this is something from a very academic literature. This is the skills required in time management. The skills required in time management, this is from a management journal which talks about time management is decision making that has structures and protects and adjusts a person's time to changing environment. A person is always going through changing environment, and the way to manage time, the way to differentiate between successful management of time and failure in management of time comes from awareness, arrangement, and adaptation. By awareness, we mean that someone is understanding that time is a limited resource. By arrangement, we mean that you are working on the schedule and the target and the goal and the plan. Adaptation means you are managing your time while doing these activities and adapting to or adjusting to interruptions and wasters and changing priorities. So this is one of the most heavy of the slides that I have prepared. How can you be successful in time management? There are three things that can be done. One is being aware that time is limited, actually making a plan, and while doing it, adjusting to changing priorities or interruptions. So a person who does all these three things in the best possible manner, that is, understands that time is important, works on it, makes the schedules and the goals and the plans. When you're actually working, things will definitely happen. You cannot stick to your goals and plans and schedules. Therefore, this adaptation that comes about because of changes in the environment, because of time wasters, because of changing priorities, that adaptation is one of the most key determinants of successful time management. So, if you are thinking of being a successful person as far as time management is concerned, you need to think about your awareness level, your action level or the arrangement, and your adaptation, meaning the amount you are capable of adapting and yet keeping, this goes back into the cycle, yet keeping in mind that time is limited, yet following the schedules that you have, and adapting your schedule so that the work gets done. Since I will be sending these slides to the organizers, you can read in detail about the awareness skills, where I talk to you about efficiency and effectiveness, arrangement skills, and adaptation skills. With that, I open up the last 10 minutes for questions that I hope the time that you spent today will help you in saving time tomorrow. So, my chat box is still open and you can send me questions. You can say it. I would love to hear human voice because I've become a robot in the last 2 hours. Jyotsna Dotto, I haven't heard your voice. Munmun Giri, I haven't heard your voice. Any questions? Sanjay Shamadar, I haven't heard your voice.
Ma'am, I
Yes,
asked
Anindita.
You a question?
Yes, I will ask Anindita and I will get back to Shubhasri. Yes, Anindita?
I don't know whether this question is relevant or not, but I'm keen to ask you that how can I make my child understand the importance of time management?
I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
Devashri has the same
Yes,
question.
yes, ma'am. I also have the same question because
Shubhasri.
she's 3.5 years old. And as I told you that I am very punctual and I prefer to do all my work beforehand. But I don't know why is she like that. She every time whenever I ask her to do anything, be it or brushing or taking a bath, she has a habit of saying I'll do it later on. How do I inculcate that idea of time management to her from this early childhood? That's my question.
Not that I am a practitioner of early childhood consulting, but one of the things that I firmly believe is that if you practice something, then the child gets to learn it out of the circumstances. How did you learn to be punctual and disciplined? From the household that you have grown up in?
Yes, ma'am. It's from my father.
So that is what. So we'll inculcate these behavior patterns, values from the household that we grow up in. Children do have variations, but I think we as parents, we have to continue doing the most that we can.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so
That
much.
is simple. It is not a knowledgeable answer.
No, I just wanted to know that because sometimes it happens that it goes to such an extent that I keep on pressurizing her and she refuses me to do so. So then I'm in two minds that am I overreacting or should I continue to do it again and again so that she learns that you have to do it.
I think you have to continue to do it again and again, but in a soft manner.
Yes, ma'am. That's obviously, but my
You continue
point
to
is
do it
yes.
again and again.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Any questions
Thank you, ma'am.
from
Thank you,
anyone?
ma'am, for the
Akhi?
answer.
Yes, Anindita. Yes, you. Akhi?
No, ma'am, no question. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, Annesha.
Ma'am, there's a typical problem that I face that I work very well under pressure. But then if there's no pressure, I kind of lose myself. Like there's no motivation. I don't feel the motivation to go and complete the work beforehand. But when I get like I have to complete it within 4 hours or 2 hours, so I work very well then. But when I have the whole day, I kind of can't concentrate on it.
So you were the best person in this class. You need to learn time management.
Yes.
So I think if there is one person who was required to take this session, was you. That you need to learn time management.
Yes, ma'am, actually.
Because
But
you don't
how do I?
perform well under pressure. You don't perform well under pressure. You are such an intelligent lady. So you will work much better when you are more organized. Your
Actually, I
efficiency
found that
level
if
is
I
high,
have the
but
limit,
you're
I
not
will just
effective.
stay awake and complete it.
So that is not doing good for yourself. So you're doing the urgent work and not doing the important work, that is you sleep on time and you feel refreshed the next morning. So your balance in the seesaw is more towards urgency and not towards importance.
Yes, ma'am, that's my problem. I really face it. And
So if you
when
know
you were
it, you have
talking about
solved
if
it.
I have a bund and all that, so that exigencies, contingency time that you were talking about, that is really I need to take
So
care
if
about.
you have identified the problem, you have solved half of it.
Maybe, maybe, ma'am. Hopefully.
Imona, Moushumi Sinha, Nandini Chatterjee, Tania Kastogir, Obhipsha Ghosh.
Some of them are colleagues.
Oh.
Tania, Nandini, I think.
হ্যাঁ ভালো হচ্ছে, আমি তাই একটুখানি শেষের দিকে এলাম, অন্য ক্লাস ছিল।
এই নন্দিনী, তুমি আর বলো না, আমি লজ্জা পাবো।
Well, I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
Doing something passionately, Roshnara.
Roshnara. Hello, Roshnara. Hello, Roshnara.
So doing something passionately, if you do something passionately, we often cannot take care of time. And it doesn't belong in either of the 4 quadrants we talked about. Those urgent.
Yes, it is impactful. It is important, but not urgent. Yes, because if I'm doing something passionately, it is leaving an impact on my life. It may not be urgent, but it is important for my life, and I will be a better person, a more satisfied person, and be a happier person for my other stakeholders. So if I'm doing something passionately, I may be not fulfilling my urgent task requirements, but nevertheless, I am fulfilling needs that are immediately good for my soul and will reflect on my behavior pattern with my immediate family, friends, society.
Thank you. That was good to know.
Do you agree with this, Rushna?
Yeah, of course.
Because it is so important for me to be happy, to get what I want for my mind, for my heart. Otherwise, I am an irritated person and I will be irritating everyone who is in my immediate neighborhood.
That's true. Thank you.
Thank you, Roshnara. I see, since we can't see each other, oh, how sad. Anyone else from non-Calcutta University? Then maybe that is an opportunity to call out. সবাই ক্যালকাটা ইউনিভার্সিটি?
না ম্যাডাম, কল্যাণী থেকেও আছি। কল্যাণী মানে কলেজে বহরমপুর গার্লস।
আচ্ছা,
অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমার একটা কোয়ারি, সেটা হলো এই যে আর্জেন্ট এবং ইম্পর্টেন্ট এবং আর্জেন্ট, এটা কিন্তু চেঞ্জও হয়। যেমন কোন আমাদের কোশ্চেন করতে পাঠালো ইউনিভার্সিটি, সে তো 10 দিন আগে দিল, কোশ্চেন করাটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট, কিন্তু সেটা তো আর্জেন্ট সেই মুহূর্তে নয় যেদিন দিল। কিন্তু এবার আবার ওটাও তো আবার যারা কোশ্চেন ওখানে ছাপাবে বা মডারেট করবে তাদের ক্ষেত্রে ইম্পর্টেন্ট হতে পারে বা প্রসেসিং এর জন্য। ফলে যখন 1 দিন 2 দিন বাকি থাকবে তখন তো সেটা হয়ে যাচ্ছে ইম্পর্টেন্ট
না, তখন সেটা হয়ে যাচ্ছে আর্জেন্ট। যখন সেটা প্রথম আমাদের কাছে এলো তখন আমরা সেটাকে ফেলে রাখলাম,
সেটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট।
আমরা ভাবলাম যে তখন তো আরে তো সময় আছে, 10 দিন পরে দিলেই হবে। এর মধ্যে একটা শনি রোববার আছে, সেদিন যে আমি মনে করে কোয়েশ্চেনটা করে ফেলবো সেটা আমরা করলাম না। তাই যেদিন কোয়েশ্চেন দেওয়ার জন্য ফোনটা এসে গেছে সেদিন আমাকে রাত্রি জেগে করতে হলো। আমি নিজে একটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট কাজকে না করে ফেলে রেখে আর্জেন্টে ট্রান্সফর্ম করে দিলাম। সেটাই হচ্ছে চ্যালেঞ্জেস ইন টাইম ম্যানেজমেন্ট। তার মানে আপনি এফিশিয়েন্ট, কারণ আপনি কি টাইমে কোয়েশ্চেন করে দিয়েছেন, হ্যাঁ আমি এফিশিয়েন্ট, কিন্তু আপনি কি এফেক্টিভ? আপনি কি সুবিধা মতন সময় নিয়ে মাথা ঠান্ডা করে করতে পেরেছিলেন? পারেননি।
সেটাই
আপনি শেষ মুহূর্তে কটা স্ক্যানার দেখে রাত্রি জেগে করে দিয়েছেন।
ঠিক ঠিক ঠিক। থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাম। মানে এটাও মানে ডিপেন্ড করে আর কি, মানে নিজের উপরেই ডিপেন্ড
হ্যাঁ,
করে।
নিশ্চয়ই ডিপেন্ড করে, সিচুয়েশন, মানুষ, সবকিছুর উপর ডিপেন্ড করে।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
কিন্তু ওই একজন বললেন না, আমি নামটা ভুলে গেলাম, আমার কিন্তু ওই মনে হয় প্রেশারেই সব থেকে বেশি কাজ হয়, এবং প্যাশনের জিনিসগুলো আমি ওই প্রেশারেই করি আর কি, মানে এসে গেছে এবার করতেই হবে আর কি।
শর্মিষ্ঠা দি,
হ্যাঁ,
there is
বলো।
one observation, মানে আমি
বলো।
নিজের মানে ওই যখন সবাইকে বলছিলেন আমিও বসে বসে ছকটা করছিলাম আর কি। তো একটা জিনিস কিন্তু আমি ভীষণভাবে আমার নিজের ক্ষেত্রে আমার এটা মনে হয় যে there are certain things which maybe I am passionate about, কিন্তু সেটা কিন্তু ওই আর্জেন্ট ইম্পর্টেন্ট, আমার কাছে হয়তো খুব আর্জেন্ট, আমি হয়তো ভীষণ প্যাশনেট, কিন্তু when I am looking at myself as maybe a wife, or say maybe a mother, or maybe a member of the family, maybe a professional, হ্যাঁ, তো সেইখানে হয়তো ওই আর্জেন্ট ইম্পর্টেন্টের ভেতরে সেই কাজগুলো পড়ছে না, কিন্তু আমি হয়তো সেটা সম্বন্ধে খুব প্যাশনেট, আমি হয়তো সেটা করতে ভালোবাসি, আমি হয়তো সেটাতে খুব আনন্দ পাই, এবং ওই ছকটা করে যখন আমি খুব ব্যালেন্স করে চলছি, মেবি আমার ভালো লাগার জায়গাটা, আমার প্যাশনের জায়গাটা, সেটা কিন্তু তখন ওই নট ইম্পর্টেন্ট, নট আর্জেন্ট করে সেটা হয়তো মানে একটা কন্ট্রাডিকশন হয়তো তৈরি হচ্ছে, মানে বিকজ অফ দ্য।
So this is why the last slide showed that what I want to pay more attention to. আমি যদি আমার একটা শখের জিনিসকে নট আর্জেন্ট, নট ইম্পর্টেন্ট ভাবছি, মানে ইট ইজ নট ইম্পর্টেন্ট ফর মি, কিন্তু ইট ইজ ইম্পর্টেন্ট বাট নট আর্জেন্ট বলে আমি যখন ফেলে রাখছি, তখন ইট ইজ লুজিং ইটস ইম্প্যাক্ট অন মাই লাইফ. So I will be a better time manager when tomorrow and day after I am slowly taking out 15 minutes of urgent work and paying attention to important work, because it is not that tomorrow I stop doing the work that is assigned to me at office and continue watching. I love watching movies, so I go and watch movies. So it is important that we realize how to translate between those quadrants, how much to move from an urgent to important. And as we discussed, these things become urgent because I did not do the time management. They were not urgent when the question paper setting came to me. But since I did not do it in the first available weekend, the day before it has to be submitted, it becomes urgent. And I miss my favorite movie to do the question paper.
Thank you. Exactly.
Thank you so much. I just wish I had so many people in front of me physically, but I'm sure we will see each other sometime, somewhere.
Of course.
শর্মিষ্ঠা দি,
হ্যাঁ শফিক, আরে গলা চিনতে পেরে গেছি।
থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ।
থ্যাংক ইউ শফিক, দেখো তোমায় বলতে হতো না, আমি গলাই চিনে গেছি তোমার।
I have a little observation and question also.
বলো।
When you are telling that some work is important but not urgent, then have to delegate.
আমি যে কোনো কাজই ডেলিগেট করতে বলছি, বাট ইম্পর্টেন্ট কাজগুলো সবসময় ডেলিগেট করা যায় না। এখানে আমি একটা কথা বলিনি, দ্যাট ইজ একটা থার্ড পার্টি প্রিন্সিপাল হয়। That is, there are things which are important to me but cannot be delegated, like eating, sleeping, entertainment. মানে আমার টিভি দেখাটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট, I cannot delegate it to somebody. Someone else watching the same television show will not give me any pleasure. Eating, sleeping, entertainment, so these are essentials of third party principle which someone else cannot do instead of me. বাট এগুলোকে বাদ দিয়ে অন্য সব কাজ আমরা অন্যকে ডেলিগেট করতে পারি, শেয়ার করতে পারি। শফিক, তুমি তো আমার কত কাজ শেয়ার করো। ফর দ্য রেস্ট অফ ইউ, শফিক এন্ড আই আর কলিগস ইন দ্য সেম বিল্ডিং।
এটা পাবলিকলি বলার দরকার নেই, আপনিও
হ্যাঁ,
অনেক
আমি
কিছু নোট
কৃতজ্ঞ
করে
তোমার
রাখছেন।
প্রতি।
হ্যাঁ,
আই
অনেক
এম
কিছু করে
গ্রেটফুল টু
রাখছেন।
ইউ।
না, আমি অ্যাকচুয়ালি আপনার কোশ্চেনের উত্তরটা অনেকটা পেয়ে গেলাম। মানে আমার বলারটা ছিল এরকম, মানে সেটা আমিও খুব ভালো করে জানি, আপনারও হয়, যেটা প্রথম নোটটা আর কি, যে আর্জেন্ট এবং ইম্পর্টেন্ট এগুলো যখন একসাথে অনেকগুলো এসে যায় তখন ডেলিগেট করতেই হয় আমাদের, তখন তো সব নিজে পেরে উঠছি না। সেই সময় মানে ফার্স্ট পয়েন্টটাতে আর্জেন্ট এবং ইম্পর্টেন্ট, যেটা আমারই করলে ভালো হয়, কিন্তু তখন হচ্ছে আমাকে কাউকে ডেলিগেট
ওটা
করতেই হয়।
আর্জেন্ট বলে ডেলিগেট করে দিতে হলো। একদম রাইট,
হ্যাঁ, হ্যাঁ,
ভেরি রাইট
ওইটা
শফিক, ভেরি
আমি
ওয়েল পয়েন্টেড আউট।
আগেরটার মধ্যেই উত্তরটা পেয়ে গেছি বলে আমি আর ওকে
Very
নাইস।
good. Srija has a question. Srija
ভালো
has
লাগছে।
raised her hand. Srija? Srija has raised her hand. She has a question. নাকি ভুল করে সৃজা?
নো ম্যাম, বাই ফল্ট।
বলো বলো।
বাই ফল্ট, এটা আমি ভুল করে ফেললাম।
বাই ফল্ট, ওকে,
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
ঠিক আছে।
ম্যাম একবার কোয়েশ্চেন।
হ্যাঁ, অন্বেষা বলো। অন্বেষা, where do you teach?
ইস্ট ক্যালকাটা গার্লস কলেজ, লেক টাউন।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা।
আর ম্যাম আর একটা জিনিস হচ্ছে যে আমরা অনেক সময় দেখি যে একটা প্রভাব আছে না, আগে গেলে বাগে খায়। তো আমরা যদি কাজগুলো করে রেখে দিই, সো কলিগস টেন্ড টু সে যে ও তো হয়ে গেছে কাজটা, আরো দিয়ে দাও ওকে কাজ।
অন্বেষা, কাজ করলে ভালো কাজ শেখা যায়, যত কাজ করবে তত ভালো কাজ।
হ্যাঁ, বাট মানে টেন্ড টু অবজার্ভ লাইক যারা একটু ডিলে করে করে করছে ওদের তো এখনো হয়নি এবং লাস্ট ডেটে গিয়ে বলে আমরা তো শুধু এইটুকুনি করতে এতদিন লেগে গেছে, আমরাতে আর কিছু দেয়া যাবে না।
আচ্ছা অন্বেষা, এগুলো organizational behavior. We'll talk about it
Yes.
later.
Okay, fine.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
So are there any more questions? I suppose there are not any more questions. So thank you so much. As expected, it was such a nice interactive session and we enjoyed it thoroughly, learned again something new from you. So keep coming to our department, keep us enriching. So we actually cherish your presence. So
thank you so much. Thank you very much.
থেকো আর আমাদেরকে এভাবেই
তোমরা ভালো থেকো, because this is an honor for me to meet so many of you, and maybe I will not be able to recognize you on the road, but when we meet each other on any other platform, please tell me that we met virtually.
থ্যাংক ইউ। এবং এটা তো চিরকাল মনে থাকবে, এই ভার্চুয়ালি একটা জীবন আমরা কাটিয়েছি, এই তো আর মৃত্যুর দিন অব্দি মনে থাকবে।
এক্স্যাক্টলি পুয়ালি দিন, একদম একমত।
ভালো থাকবেন।
শর্মিষ্ঠা দি।
হ্যাঁ বলো শফিক।
একটা কথা আবার আমারও না বললে নয়, মানে পুবালি দিও আমার খুব কাছের লোক, মানে এবং পূর্বাদিকেও জানি, দুজনেই কিন্তু খুব দারুণ কোঅর্ডিনেটর হিসাবে।
হ্যাঁ দেখছি তো, ওরা তো দারুণ সুপারহিট করছে। হ্যাঁ,
সুপারহিট।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
থ্যাংক ইউ পূর্বা, থ্যাংক ইউ পুবালি।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
ঠিক, ওকে, বাই।
ওকে, বাই বাই এভরিবডি, বাই।
So today we come to an end to this session, our day 2, and day 3 we do not have any speakers in the first half, so you can take your classes or assume your new normal life, and in the second half we will be meeting at 2:30 p.m. as usual. Thank you all so much.